Hi there, and welcome back to the History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to continue part 3 of my Stevie Nicks Wild Heart scrapbook throwback. I thought I had a lot more, but when you start putting together stuff on pages, it does kind of fill up fast. And actually kind of part of the thing that I've been meaning to show you guys that kind of got me on this whole kick was not only some new photos that I had gotten, but if you had seen something up here in the past when I had my other display, if you notice, this was a new gift, so that was something kind of cool, something I've been really wanting for a while. Kind of like changes colors. Isn't that pretty? Bright and off. Kind of like this one, but maybe that one's kind of pretty too. It looks diamondy or something like that. Anyway, I had gotten, like I said, some Wild Heart era photos that I'd shown you, some of the live ones and such. But this other thing that I'd gotten that I had not shown you, but it has been in the back for a while, is an authentic matchbook from Stevie Nicks and Kim Anderson's wedding, January 29th, 1983. Now, you might say to yourself, how do you know it's authentic? Well, first of all, I'm pretty confident with the buyer, the person who was selling them, the seller, I'm sorry, I'm the buyer. The person who was selling them had a really immaculate, crazy, full history, background and such like that. But I have seen these come up periodically. And what I had known from somebody else a long time ago before I ever obtained one of these is that they had a lot of them made. Matches are matches, you know what I mean? A lot of people were smoking back then, all sorts of stuff. And, so they had a lot made. Could probably somebody make them today and try and sell them? Yeah, but these are the color. I mean, that'd probably be kind of a hard color to match. And just, I don't know. I'm highly confident that these are the things. I don't even know that they do make matches much anymore. Maybe lighters or something like that. And it's a simple thing, but it's something I've always wanted. And it's just kind of a little, knick-knack type of thing. Of course, I would never use them. But yeah, Stevie and Kim, hopefully that comes out clearly from their wedding. I thought that was pretty cool. And that's something I'd had sitting back here for a while, and I kept meaning to show you guys. But again, it's also what kind of got me on the whole, wanting to revisit the Wild Heart stuff. And all those times it's been sitting back there, and you probably were maybe like, what is that thing back there? Well, that's what it was. So there's that. So the other thing that I'm sure I've shown you in the past before, probably when I showed all my magazines and such like that, but just in case, or maybe my press kits, is this folder. I'm confident I've shown it to you before, but I was going to place it in the scrapbook and just kind of mount it, on the back so that I could take it out and open it. Now, sorry, kind of a funny story about these is that my father worked for grocery stores my whole life when I was growing up. And I was already really into Stevie. And I remember walking into the store where he worked, and they had like back to school items, and they had all these record folders and stuff like that. I forget who else they had. They had some other cool stuff. It doesn't matter. When I saw they had a Stevie one, I about lost my mind. And, probably back in the day they were like $1 or something like that. And I begged my mom. I mean, even just getting something like that was just so, ridiculously like, well, I'll have to think about it or something, right? And I finally got one, and I used the Jesus out of it. I, carried stuff in it, all my Stevie stuff. I was starting to get, clippings and stuff. I filled this out, because I wanted to be part of it so badly. And but I didn't want to cut this up. So, it's kind of a, you just have access to Xeroxes all the time, or, it never dawned on me to just write on a piece of paper and like send it to this address. Just funny memories. I'm sure you guys all have your own, but it has a really neat little thing about Stevie on the inside. I'm sorry if this is a repeat. I can't recall showing this to you guys. And then, here to join the fan club, which ironically was one of the pictures I had shown you the other day, was the paperwork that was with the fan club. And then the back, just like the back of the album. But this is just something, this is not the one I had. Unfortunately, this one has a lot of edge wear, which is really sad. But this one is in better shape than one I have had. Actually, I don't know where my original one is, which is really a bummer. Because like I said, I had my name in it and stuff like that. So, and then I hated myself for doing that because I just wanted to leave it so pristine. But I thought this one was, again, the better one I had, and I wanted to put it in the scrapbook just to keep it flat. And again, have the book to be able to pull this out and look at it more often, which is really the whole point of all these scrapbooks. And I do. It's so funny. I was helping somebody today find a photo, and then somebody will show me something. I'm like, what, that looks like blah. And there's actually a picture of Stevie that somebody had shown me, and it's called like the red shoes or the red shoot or something like that. It's a real pretty picture of her, but I actually had an outtake of that, one of my originals that I showed you a long time ago from Wild Heart era, actually. And just from the top of her hair and just kind of how it's photographed, I'm confident that because she's almost at the same angle, she's just not quite a profile, but kind of, and just the way it's shot down like this, it just, her hair part looks here identical, except mine is in color, and that one that I'm talking about is a black and white photo, but her lips and her eyes look really dark, so it looks real vampy and kind of silent screen. But it's just cool pulling out all my scrapbooks and being able to look through them. And you can see some here. This is my records here, but they're all behind me. When I'm sitting here, sometimes I'll sit here for hours, unfortunately, meaning to make a page, and I'm just looking at old stuff instead. So it is getting some use and some use. So some kind of small pages that these weren't really done. This is kind of a bummer, especially because this one tore. I was kind of trying to fix up this page because if you notice, there's not much, in the background. These, I think, actually aren't, they're Wild Heart-ish, but these are actually Liza Jane Andrew? No, what's her last name? Edwards, Liza Jane Edwards, her wedding that Stevie was a part of. So it's kind of cute. And I can't remember what year that was. I think it's a little bit later, but I always pegged him as Wild Heart solely because that pretty jacket that she wore a lot around that time. I know she wore it in other times, but I always just think of it from that. So I don't know that it's right or wrong, but this was something I had, and I kind of tried to sneak it in there, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it that way, but it's a page. It's one of the Wild Heart, but I had this one. So I think this is from US Festival. I'm pretty sure. And then on the back of that, again, these are some photos that I had. And it's funny because I always thought that these were so similar as far as the pink and the tone. The hair, for a minute I was like, oh, maybe that's it. And maybe it's not. And then I realized like the mics are different, stuff like that. But funny enough, thinking it's so similar, I'm seeing this pink. And as I'm putting it together today, I'm realizing that that's what's hanging off the thing here. So I thought that was so funny because they're clearly two different shows. Probably two different times. One could, hell if I know, one could be Belladonna and this could be Wild Heart. I don't know. But I thought it was so funny that all this time I was thinking that, I don't know if I subconsciously saw that and that's why I thought it went with this one. It's just kind of funny. And then also funny is this gentleman here, Dean Messina. I was trying to think of that name because somebody was asking me. Dean used to, I never spoke to him, unfortunately. I spoke to his mother one time. I got brave and called the number that was on one of his photos, and I talked to his mother, and he was in Africa. I think I've also told this story, but he was in Africa doing live, shooting animals, like on a safari, but taking photographs of that. And I said, yeah, I'm a big Stevie fan, and I used to buy these pictures all the time with his name on the back, and I just kind of wondered if he still did this. And she's like, oh no, he still has a ton of them, but he doesn't really do that much anymore. And some concerts, but maybe not Stevie. He's really into nature and animals and such. And she's like, I'll totally give him your name and number, and he'll get in touch with you. He never did. But there was a store at the end of the pier in San Francisco, California, Pier 39. And at the end of that pier, there was a movie and music memorabilia store. And it was there for years as I was growing up. And then even after I moved to San Francisco. And it was always a treat to go there. And you get into the Stevie Nicks section, there's 50 photos. They're all live, but when you don't know where to get photos and they're kind of a commodity at the time, it's so amazing. And I have a ton from him. And the other gentleman is Richard Brackett, I think. And both those people are from the Bay Area. But yeah, it's just so funny when I see that because it really throws me back to my very, very beginning Stevie collecting and getting photos and such. This also was a page that had gotten, I know that this is almost identical. This one was kind of the coolest, even though her eyes look kind of weird in it because it's kind of blurry. But this was a page I had done, and I'm sure I've shown this page as well. It's really hard to get the right focus on these because they're so shiny. But I had another one that got added, and it was just this middle one here. It's not a big deal. I just don't know why I'm getting, like I said, they're funny because they're older pictures. And when you're looking at them directly, you can see all the scratch marks on them and such, but there's a super high gloss, but they're such cool pictures considering, the era, and I don't see them a lot. I don't think these have anybody's name on the back. I'm pretty sure. Nope, nobody's name, but the page keeps coming apart, and it was just perfect that it did. You can see some are loose here. They're just glued on some part, but and this poor little past has seen better days. I don't even know why I have that on there. But I just put it together with just that new one that went with the set. So I don't know if I'd ever shown that. It's kind of not even worth it because there's a lot of stuff that was on the back, kind of all the same. But just show you. Not that you haven't seen it before, but this page is the one that I'm really proud of before, and this is one I put together. I'm going to go kind of backwards and save kind of the best for last. But this was a friend of mine had gotten a real one of these. I've shown a page in earlier Wild Heart tour scrapbooks. I keep saying tour books, sorry. And I have a lot of copies of this. I have no originals. And a friend of mine had one that she's selling, but I knew that another friend wanted one more. And I just would kind of like to happen upon them one day, maybe the whole set. And I think that the one she had was out of the frame. It was a 3D picture that didn't have a frame, but yet somehow she had this other frame, and she just made like a color copy for me. So I guess some of the pictures came in a black frame like this, but this was one of the 3D ones, and it's about the clearest, best copy I'll ever have. So if you'd seen other ones in a prior scrapbook video, they're not going to be as clear and nice as this. I would love to see one of these in person, see the real thing. Honestly, I'm not even sure how many of them there are because I've seen several that go with the session. She's wearing the same thing and it's the same surroundings and set and everything like that. But I don't know how many got released for the Wild Heart tour, the 3D photos. I think that there's maybe 4 or 5 that I know of that I'm sure were sold. But I don't know because I think I have like 10 or 12 different photos again from that session. What cool things though, just really, and just one of those kind of definitely a holy grail, not something I have really high up on my list, but every time I see them, I'm like, man, I would really like to get a hold of those, but they're expensive. When they show up because, probably they showed up left and right when I was first getting onto eBay and I never realized it. But now they're few and far between, but they're the photo and they come in kind of this card frame with like a little stand on the back. And so that you could see it because when you tilt it, it has this 3D effect. There's kind of like, she kind of like looks to the side or something like that. So, but then I took the frame that she had sent me and I just put this other picture in it because I thought it matched and I thought it was kind of cool. And then I was hoping to find more of these pictures and just actually do a whole page and put the information. This picture and this picture are from Stevie on SNL in what year was it? 80? Is it 83 that she was on Saturday Night Live? And she did Stand Back and Nightbird, which she's doing there with Lori. And I'm grateful to have these 2 pictures, but I was really hoping to maybe find some more and do a whole page, but there's just really not that much. You could probably take some screen grabs or something and make a page, but as it is, it's fine. It goes with this one and it kind of fills it up nicely. At least they go together, and I have these 2 Wild Heart ones that go together as well. So the last one on the page is really nothing. I found these old, which I'll show you another thing in a second. I found these old tickets and I put this together. And if you remember on one of my other pages, I have a whole bunch of Stevie Nicks stuff, and then I have some Greta Garbo old, they're like cigarette cards, I think I was telling you guys about. And I also have another one from Billie Burke. And if some of you know, Billie Burke played Glinda the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz, but she was a major star well before that and afterwards. But, of course, she was most famous for that. And I'm also a big fan of Billie Burke as well as Greta Garbo. And I think Stevie's mentioned her. But one time I was out and about and I found that cute little cigarette card. It looks like somebody pinned it up at one point. But yeah, so I had that, but that goes with this lovely picture here. A friend of mine had this, and I had never seen it. She had it like the whole shebang, like, like it's a large portrait, and I had never seen this picture or anything from the session. And then another friend of mine who is a seller on eBay and has, quite a few of his own items, was kind enough to send me a copy, which was amazing. So I guess this one is Sam Emerson, I want to say. No, Neil Preston, pardon me. And Neil Preston was selling this this photo as a large, like a print. And of course, I would love to have the print, but I have so little room. And as it is, I'm kind of getting to the point this time when I talked about my posters and such that I really just, again, I want stuff that I'm able to pull up my book, look through. I'll miss if I didn't have posters. I'll miss if I didn't have prints. But if I'm able to get something like this is really cool. And to me, much more enjoyable, much more kind of compact and being able to look through. This also was another outtake. I think think that this is the picture that is used for Stevie. So this could be Belladonna era because the picture was used on like Smash Hits magazine, and the leather and lace single where she's wearing like this is like red, and I think some of the fringe on here is maybe blue or something like that. But this is another picture, so again, this could be the wrong era. I don't know, but I thought everything looked nice, and I thought that the addition of the tickets and just kind of made it look like kind of like an old keepsake type of page. You have this regal, beautiful picture. You have this wonderful original Herbert Worthington sepia toned postcard with that great picture. I love how you can see a reflection right here. And then you have like these ticket stubs kind of held together with another old piece of Hollywood and then this La Luna sticker. So that was about it. I think that will kind of wrap up Wild Heart for now. The only thing that I also meant to show you guys was really funny. I was going to add this ticket in my stuff, and I keep forgetting. I need to make the page or go back through my photo album and see if I made the page. But there were 2 issued tickets of Stevie Nicks for the Stevie Nicks and Friends concerts back in the day. I want to say around Belladonna and Wild Heart. And these ones are more expensive and collectible. This one has some damage, unfortunately. But if you look real closely, you'll see if I can get the right angle. It's got a glitter base. It's kind of embossed, but you see there's a lot of damage here. I can't get it to show you, but it's all glitter. Oh, see it? Oh, there. See how it's shiny like that? There you go. Isn't that beautiful? So just a really nice stub. I can't believe, back in 83, August 28th, day after my birthday, August 28th, 1983, $50 was probably kind of expensive, but this was silver for, Stevie Nicks and Friends. So I think there's like probably bronze, silver, gold, whatever, the different places. So anyway, this is a really cool ticket, but I know that I have a page that I made with Stevie Nicks and Friends. So I kind of really want to put the ticket in there instead of adding it to a different page. Or if I'm wrong, again, find the pictures that I have for that and then put it together properly with this ticket. So it just kind of goes. But I thought it was just so pretty. I love how it's glittery like that. And I have another one that's like that, but it's just really cool. So that will do it for now. I think I'm going to get back to the art. If you see, probably just out of camera view, you see that there is a large pile here of art stuff that I still need to get. I really want to wrap that up and in that with some of Lindsay's artwork. So I think that will be on Monday. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm sorry it wasn't too much, but again, just kind of rounding out some of the stuff that I still had for Wild Heart. So right now, my mostly scrapbook part of Wild Heart is wrapped up. So now I got to go back to like Tusk and all the others because there's just still so much. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Again, have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.